Prince Vexir stood on the bridge of his flagship and smiled. Behind him stretched 200 warships, each one powerful enough to destroy a planet. The fleet looked beautiful in the darkness of space, with lights blinking and engines glowing. This was his fleet, given to him by his father, the Emperor. Today, he would prove himself worthy of the throne. "Brother, the scanners show nothing ahead," said Prince Drazen from his station. "Perhaps we should return home and report success." Vexir laughed, a harsh sound that made the bridge crew uncomfortable. "Success? We have conquered nothing yet. Father sent us to expand the Empire, not to fly in circles like cowards." Drazen frowned but said nothing more. He knew his brother's temper. Vexir was always like this, hungry for battle and glory. Drazen preferred careful planning, but no one listened to the second prince. The Caltherian Empire had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. They had conquered 47 different species, some weak and some strong, but all of them had fallen before Caltherian weapons and Caltherian warriors. Vexir wanted to add one more victory to that list. He wanted his name in the history books. "Prince Vexir, we have detected something," called out the censor officer. "One small ship directly ahead. It appears to be alone." Vexir walked to the viewing screen. There, floating in the black void, was a tiny vessel. It looked strange, not like any ship he had seen before. The design was smooth and simple, with no weapons visible on the outside. It was perhaps 1/100th the size of his flagship. "Scan it," Vexir ordered. "Tell me what species flies such a pathetic craft." The officer worked quickly at his station. "The ship's composition is unknown, my prince. The metals are not in our database. I am detecting life signs aboard. Approximately 50 beings." 50? Vexir laughed again. 50 against my 200 ships and 40,000 warriors? This will be over quickly. Inside the small ship, Captain Jake Morrison studied the massive fleet that had appeared on his screens. He sat in the captain's chair of the Wanderer, a scout vessel designed for exploration, not combat. His crew of 50 scientists, engineers, and a handful of security personnel looked to him for guidance. "Amy, what are we looking at?" Jake asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Amy Walsh checked her instruments carefully. "Sir, I count 200 ships. They are heavily armed. Energy signatures suggest weapons that could tear us apart in seconds. I recommend we try to communicate." Jake nodded. "Open a channel. Let's see if they are friendly." The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of the alien flagship. A tall creature stood in the center, covered in dark scales with eyes that glowed red. He wore elaborate armor decorated with symbols of rank and power. "Attention, unknown vessel," Jake said calmly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human scout ship Wanderer. We come in peace and mean no harm. We are explorers charting this region of space. Please identify yourselves." Prince Vexir stared at the human on his screen. The creature looked weak, with soft skin and no natural weapons. It spoke in a calm voice, as if it did not understand the danger it faced. "I am Prince Vexir of the Caltherian Empire," Vexir announced. "You have entered our territory. You will surrender your ship immediately, or we will destroy you." Jake kept his expression neutral. "Prince Vexir, we had no knowledge of your territory. Our maps show this region as unexplored. If we have trespassed, we apologize. We will leave peacefully and update our records." "Peacefully?" Vexir's voice rose in anger. "You think you can simply leave? Your species is unknown to us. That makes you either future subjects or future enemies. Surrender now or face the consequences." Behind Jake, Sergeant Ben Carter stepped forward. He was the head of the ship's small security team, a veteran soldier who had seen combat before. "Captain, their weapons are charging. I think they mean to attack regardless of what we say." Jake made a decision quickly. "Amy, raise shields. Ben, get your team ready. Navigation, plot an escape course." "Shields?" Vexier saw the small ship's defenses activate and felt insulted. "You dare to raise weapons against the Caltherian Empire? You dare to defy a prince?" He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire on that ship! Destroy it completely!" The Caltherian flagship fired 3 massive energy beams. They struck the Wanderer's shields and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The small ship shook violently, throwing crew members against their stations. "Shields holding at 60%, Amy reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. "That was more powerful than I expected." Jake gripped his armrests. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. I do not want to kill anyone if we can avoid it." The Wanderer's defensive weapons activated. They were not designed for ship-to-ship combat, but they were precise. 2 beams lanced out and struck the flagship's weapon ports. Alarms rang out on the Caltherian bridge as systems overloaded and exploded. "Damage report!" Vexier shouted, shocked that the tiny ship had managed to hurt his flagship. "Minor damage, my prince," the officer replied. 2 weapon banks are offline, but how did they penetrate our armor with such small weapons?" Vexier's shock turned to rage. "All ships, open fire! Destroy that insect!" 20 Caltherian cruisers joined the attack. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the Wanderer. Jake's ship twisted and turned, moving faster than the Caltherians expected. Most shots missed completely, but several struck home. "Shields at 30%, Amy called out. "We cannot take much more." "Deploy countermeasures and jamming," Jake ordered. "Buy us time." The Wanderer released a cloud of metallic particles that confused the Caltherian sensors. Their next volley went wide, striking empty space. The small ship accelerated hard, heading for a nearby asteroid field. "They are running," Drazen observed. "Perhaps we should let them go, brother. They are clearly no threat." "No threat?" Vexier pointed at the screen where his flagship's damage was being repaired. "They damaged my ship. They made me look foolish in front of the fleet. We will hunt them down and make an example of their entire species." As the Wanderer fled, Ben Carter launched a surprise attack. A small shuttle detached from the scout ship and flew straight at one of the pursuing cruisers. The Caltherians, focused on the main ship, did not notice until too late. The shuttle fired a concentrated beam at the cruiser's engine core. The alien ship exploded in a massive fireball. "Impossible!" Vexier watched the explosion with disbelief. "How can such a small species destroy our ships?" 2 more Caltherian cruisers suffered damage as the Wanderer's weapons found their marks. The scout ship was outgunned and outnumbered, but its crew was skilled and desperate. Every shot counted. Every maneuver had to be perfect. Finally, the Wanderer reached the asteroid field and disappeared among the rocks. The Caltherian ships followed but moved more slowly, cautious of the dangerous terrain. On the Wanderer's bridge, Jake breathed heavily. His ship was damaged, his crew was exhausted, but they were alive. "Amy, launch a warning beacon. Set it to transmit back to Earth. Let them know what happened here." A small device ejected from the ship and activated. It sent a compressed message containing coordinates, sensor logs, and Jake's report. "First contact with hostile alien species. Caltherian Empire. Request immediate support." "Beacon away," Amy confirmed. "It will reach the nearest outpost in 6 hours." Jake looked at his crew. "We need to buy time for help to arrive. We will lead them deeper into the asteroids. Make them work for every inch. Can we do this?" Ben Carter checked his weapons. "Sir, we are scouts, not soldiers, but we will do what we must." The crew nodded in agreement. They were scientists and explorers, sent to chart stars and discover new worlds. They never expected to fight a war, but if the Caltherians wanted a fight, the humans would give them one. In the asteroid field, the game of cat and mouse began. The Caltherian fleet spread out, searching for the small human ship. They had numbers and firepower on their side. But the Wanderer had speed, skill, and determination. Prince Vexir stood on his bridge, staring at the asteroids ahead. "They cannot hide forever. We will find them, and we will crush them. The Caltherian Empire has never lost to an inferior species, and we will not start now." Prince Drazen looked at the damage reports and felt uneasy. Something about these humans worried him. They fought too well for simple explorers. Their technology was strange and effective, and they had hurt the fleet with only one small ship. "Brother," Drazen said quietly, "perhaps we should reconsider. We know nothing about these humans. We do not know how many ships they have or where their home world is located." Vexir glared at him. "Are you afraid, brother? Are you a coward?" "I am cautious," Drazen replied. "There is a difference." But Vexir had already made his decision. The fleet pushed forward into the asteroids, hunting for the human ship. Pride and anger drove him now. He would not stop until the humans were destroyed, and their species learned to fear the Caltherian Empire. What Prince Vexir did not know was that his decision would cost him everything. The small ship he hunted was not a warship. The 50 humans aboard were not soldiers. They were scouts, the weakest representatives of humanity that he could have possibly encountered. And he was about to learn what a terrible mistake he had made. The asteroid field was dark and dangerous. Huge rocks floated through space, some as small as houses and others as large as moons. The Caltherian fleet moved carefully through this maze, searching for the human ship. They had been hunting for 3 hours now, and Prince Vexir grew more frustrated with each passing minute. "Report," Vexir demanded from his command chair. The sensor officer worked at his station nervously. "My prince, the asteroids interfere with our scans. We cannot get a clear reading on the human vessel. It appears and disappears like a ghost." Vexir slammed his fist on the armrest. "Then send more ships into the field. I want that human ship found and destroyed." 40 Caltherian cruisers pushed deeper into the asteroids. They moved in groups, trying to cover more space. But the field was enormous, and one small ship could hide almost anywhere. On the Wanderer, Captain Jake Morrison watched the alien ships on his screens. His crew had been running and hiding for hours. They were tired, scared, but still alive. "They are splitting up," Amy Walsh observed from her tactical station. "Groups of 4 ships, spreading out in a search pattern." Jake studied the pattern and saw an opportunity. "Ben, can you take out one of those groups if we get close enough?" Sergeant Ben Carter looked at his weapons display. "Maybe, sir, but we would need to hit them fast and hard, then run before the others respond." "Then that is what we will do," Jake decided. Amy picked the group furthest from the main fleet. "Navigation, plot us an attack run through those 3 large asteroids to the north." The Wanderer moved silently through the rocks. The ship's engines were running at minimal power, making it nearly invisible to Caltherian sensors. The crew worked in near darkness, using only the light from their stations. Every person knew their role. Every action was practiced and precise. A group of 4 Caltherian cruisers floated past a massive asteroid, scanning the area. They moved slowly, cautiously, unaware that the Wanderer was hiding just behind the rock they had passed. "Now," Jake whispered. The scout ship burst from cover at full speed. Its weapons fired in rapid succession, targeting the engines and weapon systems of the nearest cruiser. The Caltherian ship's shields flared and collapsed under the concentrated fire. Explosions rippled across its hull as critical systems failed. The other 3 cruisers reacted quickly, turning to face their attacker. But the Wanderer was already moving. It dove under one cruiser, fired at another, and then accelerated away into the asteroids. 2 cruisers damaged, 1 destroyed, Amy reported. "The survivors are calling for backup." "Keep moving," Jake ordered. "Do not let them pin us down." The Wanderer twisted between asteroids, using the rocks as cover. Caltharian ships pursued, firing wildly, but the humans were always one step ahead. On the flagship, Prince Vexir watched another of his ships explode. His face was dark with rage. How? How can one tiny ship do this to us? Prince Drazen studied the tactical display with growing concern. Brother, these humans are not normal explorers. Look at how they move, how they fight. They have military training and excellent equipment. They are just lucky, Vexir insisted. But even he was beginning to doubt his words. Then something happened that changed everything. 2 new ships appeared on the Caltharian sensors, emerging from the far side of the asteroid field. My prince, we have detected 2 more human vessels, the sensor officer announced. They are similar in size to the first ship. They are approaching our position. Vexir smiled coldly. Finally, their reinforcements arrive. Now we will crush them all together. But Drazen felt his stomach tighten with worry. Only 2 ships? Where is their main fleet? Why send such small numbers? The 2 new ships were named Pathfinder and Horizon. Commander Lisa Park commanded the Pathfinder, while Lieutenant Kyle Hayes led the Horizon. Both were scout ships, identical to the Wanderer in size and capability, and both had received Jake Morrison's warning beacon. Wanderer, this is Pathfinder. Lisa Park's voice came through the communication channel. We got your message. Looks like you have found some unfriendly neighbors. Jake felt relief wash through him. Commander Park, good to see you. We have been running from 200 Caltharian ships for the past few hours. They are heavily armed and not interested in talking. 200? Kyle Hayes whistled over the channel. Well, the odds could be worse. What is your status? Shields at 40%, weapons operational, crew tired but functional, Jake replied. We have taken down 4 of their ships and damaged several others. But we cannot keep this up forever. Lisa Park's voice became serious. Then let's change the game. Jake, you keep running and leading them deeper. Kyle and I will hit them from different angles. We make them think there are more of us than there really are. Understood, Jake agreed. Let's show these aliens what human scouts can do. The 3 scout ships began their coordinated attack. They communicated constantly, sharing information and planning their strikes. The Wanderer would appear and draw Caltharian ships into a pursuit. Then the Pathfinder would ambush them from the side. Before the aliens could respond, the Horizon would strike from above. The Caltharian fleet began taking serious losses. 5 ships destroyed, then 10, then 15. Each time they thought they had cornered one human ship, another would appear and attack from an unexpected direction. Prince Vexir paced his bridge like a caged animal. This is impossible. 3 small ships cannot defeat my fleet. We have the numbers. We have the power. Brother, we need to withdraw, Drazen urged. We are losing ships too quickly. We should return home and bring more forces. Withdraw? Vexir turned on his brother with fury in his eyes. You want to run from 3 tiny ships? You want to tell our father that we fled like cowards? Never! We will fight until they are all destroyed. But the battle was not going as Vexir expected. The humans fought with a skill and precision that shocked the Caltharians. Every shot seemed to hit vital systems. Every maneuver put them in the perfect position. The scout ships worked together like parts of one mind. Inside the Wanderer, the crew fought exhaustion and fear. Sergeant Ben Carter fired weapon after weapon, his hands moving automatically across the controls. Captain, we are down to 60% ammunition. If this goes on much longer, we will be throwing rocks at them. Then we make every shot count, Jake replied. He looked at his crew, saw their tired faces, their determination. We are scouts. We were sent to explore, to learn, to find new life. But today we fight. Not because we want to, but because we must. These aliens gave us no choice. Amy Walsh checked her sensors. Sir, the Caltharian flagship is moving. It looks like it is coming deeper into the field. Jake felt a chill. The flagship was the largest and most powerful ship in the alien fleet. If it joined the battle directly, the scouts would be in serious trouble. "Lisa, Kyle, the big one is coming," Jake warned over the channel. "We need a new plan." "I have an idea," Kyle Hayes responded. "It is crazy, but it might work. What if we board it?" "Board the flagship?" Lisa Park sounded shocked. "With what army?" "With the only army we have," Kyle said. "Ben Carter's security team from the Wanderer, plus my 6 guards and Lisa's 8. That gives us about 20 people total." Jake looked at Ben, who nodded slowly. "It could work, sir. If we can get inside and sabotage their systems, it would throw their whole fleet into chaos." "This is insane," Jake said, but he was smiling. "Let's do it." The plan was simple but dangerous. The 3 scout ships would coordinate one massive attack on the flagship, overwhelming its shields just long enough for a small shuttle to slip through and attach to the hull. Then Ben Carter and his team would cut their way inside. "All ships on my mark," Jake counted down. 3, 2, 1, mark. The 3 scout ships emerged from the asteroid simultaneously, firing everything they had at the Caltharian flagship. Energy beams and missiles struck the massive vessel from 3 different angles. The shields flared brightly, struggling to deflect the concentrated fire. "Shields buckling on the flagship," Amy reported. "Window opening in 5 seconds." A small shuttle launched from the Wanderer, flying straight at the flagship at maximum speed. Inside were Ben Carter and 19 other security personnel from all 3 ships. They wore combat suits and carried weapons designed for close-quarters fighting. The shuttle hit the Caltharian hull and attached with magnetic clamps. "We are in position," Ben reported. "Beginning hull breach." Cutting torches activated, burning through the alien metal. Alarms rang throughout the flagship as the Caltharians realized they were being boarded. "Security teams to Section 12, Vexier shouted. "We are under attack." Ben and his team dropped into the flagship's corridors. They found themselves in a strange environment, with walls that curved oddly and lights that hurt their eyes. But they had a mission and limited time. "Move fast," Ben ordered. "Plant charges on anything that looks important. We have 10 minutes before they cut us off." The team split into 3 groups, racing through the corridors. They encountered Caltharian warriors and fought brief, violent battles. The aliens were strong and fierce, but the humans had surprise and desperation on their side. One group reached the engine control room and planted explosive charges. Another found the main computer core and downloaded files onto portable drives. The third group fought a running battle with security forces, buying time for the others. "All teams, extraction in 2 minutes," Ben called out. "Get back to the shuttle now." The teams ran back through the corridors, fighting every step of the way. 2 humans fell to Caltharian weapons. 17 made it back to the shuttle, including Ben Carter, just as the charges detonated. Explosions rippled through the flagship. Engine controls sparked and failed. Computer systems crashed. Life support flickered. The massive ship went dark except for emergency lighting. The shuttle detached and flew back to the Wanderer just as Caltharian cruisers arrived to protect their flagship. The 3 scout ships accelerated away into the asteroids, leaving chaos behind them. Prince Vexier stood in the darkness of his crippled bridge, breathing heavily. Around him, his crew worked frantically to restore systems. His flagship, the pride of the Caltharian fleet, had been reduced to a drifting hulk by a handful of humans. "Status," Vexier demanded, his voice shaking with rage and something else. Fear. "Life support is functioning. Weapons are offline. Engines are damaged. We will need hours to make basic repairs," the officer reported. Drazen approached his brother carefully. "Vexier, we must stop this. We have lost 40 ships. The flagship is crippled. These humans are more dangerous than anything we have ever faced." For the first time, Prince Vexier had no response. He stared at the screens showing his damaged fleet and realized that his brother might be right, but it was already too late. The human scout ships had sent another message, and this time, much more than scouts were coming to answer it. 6 hours had passed since the battle in the asteroid field. Prince Vexir sat in his command chair aboard the partially repaired flagship, staring at the damage reports. His fleet had started with 200 ships. Now only 160 remained operational. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to fight. "The humans have stopped running," the sensor officer reported. "They are holding position at coordinates 794. Vexir straightened in his chair. "Finally, they realize they cannot escape. Prepare the fleet for a final assault." "We will end this now." Prince Drazen studied the tactical display with concern. "Brother, why would they stop running? They have been leading us for hours. Why stop now?" "Because they are tired and desperate," Vexir replied. "They know we will catch them eventually. They have chosen to make their last stand." But Drazen was not convinced. Something felt wrong. The humans had been too clever, too skilled. They would not simply give up. The Caltherian fleet formed up and moved toward the coordinates, where the 3 scout ships waited. As they approached, the sensor officer's voice rose with alarm. "My prince, I am detecting more ships, many more ships." "What?" Vexir jumped from his chair. "How many?" 30 vessels, my prince. They appeared suddenly as if they were hiding." "They are positioned in a defensive formation around the 3 scout ships." Vexir felt a surge of excitement. 30 ships? Against my 160? They are still outnumbered. This changes nothing. We attack! But as the Caltherian fleet drew closer, Drazen noticed something that made his blood run cold. "Brother, look at those new ships. They are different, much larger than the scout vessels. Look at their weapon arrays." The 30 human ships were indeed different. They were warships built for combat, with armor plating and weapon systems that dwarfed anything on the scout ships. At the center of the formation was a heavy cruiser designated as the flagship. On its bridge stood Admiral Richard Cole, a man with gray hair and calm eyes who had spent 40 years in the human navy. "Admiral, the alien fleet is approaching," reported his tactical officer. "They are maintaining aggressive formation." "I can see that," Admiral Cole said quietly. He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the alien flagship. Let's try one more time to avoid bloodshed." The channel opened, and Prince Vexir appeared on the screen. He looked angry and proud, his red eyes burning with determination. "This is Admiral Richard Cole of the Human Border Patrol Fleet," the Admiral said in a calm, measured voice. "Prince Vexir, I understand there has been a conflict between your forces and our scout ships. I am here to negotiate a peaceful resolution." Vexir laughed harshly. "Peaceful? You attack my fleet, damage my ships, kill my warriors, and now you speak of peace? No, human. You will surrender immediately, or we will destroy every one of your ships." Admiral Cole sighed. "Prince Vexir, I think there has been a misunderstanding. The ships you have been fighting are scout vessels, designed for exploration. They are not military ships. They carry minimal weapons and crew. If you have been having difficulty with our scouts, I must warn you that attacking our actual military will not end well for your fleet." "You lie," Vexir sneered. "Your scouts destroyed 40 of my ships. If they are your weakest vessels, you are trying to frighten me with empty threats." Beside the prince, Drazen was examining the new human ships more carefully. The design was completely different from the scouts. Where the scout ships were sleek and light, these warships were heavily armored and bristling with weapons. He counted at least 50 weapon ports on the flagship alone. "Brother," Drazen said quietly, "perhaps we should listen to the Admiral. These ships look very dangerous." But Vexir was too angry, too humiliated to listen. "You want me to fear 30 ships? I have 160. The Caltherian Empire has conquered 47 species. We have never been defeated. We will not start with you." Admiral Cole's expression remained calm, but his voice became harder. Prince Vexir, I am trying to prevent unnecessary deaths. Your fleet attacked our explorers without provocation. They defended themselves admirably, but they are scientists and researchers, not soldiers. If you force me to engage you with military forces, many of your people will die. Please reconsider." "Enough talk," Vexir shouted. "All ships, attack formation. Destroy the human fleet!" Admiral Cole closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with resignation. "Very well. You have made your choice." He turned to his tactical officer. "All ships, weapons free. Disable their vessels if possible, but protect our people. Rules of engagement are in effect." "Yes, sir," the officer responded. "All ships are ready." The Caltherian fleet surged forward, 160 ships against 30. They had numbers on their side. They had the pride and confidence of an empire that had never lost. They had no idea what was about to happen. The first exchange of fire changed everything. 20 Caltherian cruisers fired their main weapons at the human fleet. The energy beams and missiles struck the human shields, which absorbed the impacts with ease. The shields barely flickered. Then the human fleet returned fire. 30 ships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. What emerged was not the focused beams of the scout ships, but devastating railgun rounds that traveled at incredible speeds. These metal slugs, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, punched through Caltherian shields like they were made of paper. The first volley destroyed 15 Caltherian ships instantly. The slugs tore through hulls, shattered engines, and continued on to hit ships behind the first line. One railgun round went through 3 different cruisers before finally stopping. "What?" Vexir stared at his screen in disbelief. "What kind of weapons are those?" "My prince. Their weapons are kinetic, not energy-based," the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. "They use physical projectiles moving at enormous speeds. Our shields are designed to deflect energy beams. They are almost useless against solid mass traveling that fast." The battle, if it could even be called that, continued. The Caltherian fleet tried to close the distance, thinking they could overwhelm the humans in close combat. But the human ships simply backed away, maintaining optimal firing range. Their weapons fired continuously, and every shot found its mark. Caltherian cruisers exploded one after another. Some tried to dodge, but the human targeting systems were too accurate. Others tried to focus fire on single human ships, but the shields held against everything the aliens could throw at them. "Shields at 95%, the tactical officer reported to Admiral Cole. "No damage to any of our vessels. Enemy fleet strength is down to 135 ships. "Continue firing," Admiral Cole ordered. "Target engines when possible. I want prisoners, not corpses." 10 more Caltherian ships fell, then 15 more. The alien fleet began to break formation as panic spread. Some ships tried to flee, others charged forward in desperate attacks. None of it worked. Prince Drazen watched the slaughter with growing horror. "Brother, we must retreat! Now! We cannot win this fight!" But Vexir was frozen, unable to comprehend what was happening. The Caltherian Empire had never lost. Never. Their fleets had crushed entire civilizations. How could 30 ships destroy them so easily? "My prince, we have lost 50 ships!" an officer shouted. "We must withdraw." Finally, Vexir's pride broke under the weight of reality. "All ships! Retreat! Fall back to Caltherian space." But Admiral Cole had anticipated this. "Deploy the interdictor fields. Do not let them escape until we have answers." 6 human ships activated special devices that created a field of distorted space. The Caltherian ships that tried to jump to faster-than-light travel found their engines failing. They were trapped. "We cannot jump," the navigator reported in panic. "Something is blocking our drives." More Caltherian ships exploded under human fire. The fleet was down to 100 ships, then 90, then 80. Those that survived huddled together, shields overlapping, trying desperately to protect each other. Admiral, enemy fleet has ceased offensive operations, the tactical officer reported. They are in full defensive formation. Admiral Cole nodded. Cease fire. Hold position. Let's see if they are ready to talk now. The human weapons fell silent. The 30 warships hung in space, undamaged and ready. Around them floated the wreckage of 80 Caltherian vessels. Bodies and debris drifted in the darkness. On the Caltherian flagship, Prince Vexier finally understood. These humans were not like the species his empire had conquered before. They were something else entirely, something far more dangerous. Open a channel to the human admiral, Vexier said quietly. His voice had lost all its arrogance. Admiral Cole appeared on the screen again. His expression was sad but firm. Prince Vexier, are you ready to listen now? Vexier could not meet the admiral's eyes. What are you? We are humans, Admiral Cole replied. We come from a planet called Earth. We have been exploring space for 200 years. Searching for other intelligent life, we hope to find friends. Instead, you attacked our explorers on sight. Your scouts, Vexier whispered. They really were just scouts? Yes, Admiral Cole confirmed. Captain Jake Morrison and his crew are scientists. They have basic combat training, as all our space personnel do, but they are not soldiers. The same is true for the other 2 scout ships. You have been fighting researchers and teachers who were forced to defend themselves. Prince Drazen spoke up from beside his brother. And you, Admiral, what are you? I command 1 border patrol fleet, Admiral Cole said. There are 12 such fleets protecting human space. Each fleet has 200 ships. Behind us are the main battle fleets, the carriers, the dreadnoughts. But you will never see them, because this ends here. Vexier looked at his brother, then back at the screen. What do you want from us? First, I want you to understand what happened here, Admiral Cole said seriously. You attacked 3 of our smallest, weakest ships and barely survived the encounter. Then you attacked 30 military vessels and lost 80 ships in less than an hour. We have been fighting at less than 20% capacity. Do you understand what this means? Drazen answered when his brother could not. It means if you wanted to, you could destroy our entire fleet in minutes. Yes, Admiral Cole said simply. But I do not want that. What I want is to understand why you attacked our people. I want to know if your empire seeks war, or if this was the action of 2 reckless princes. Vexier felt shame wash over him, a feeling he had never experienced before. It was my decision, my arrogance. I wanted glory and conquest. I thought your scout ship was weak prey. I was wrong. Yes, you were wrong, Admiral Cole agreed. Now you have a choice. You can continue fighting, and I will destroy every remaining ship in your fleet. Or you can surrender, and we will discuss terms that might allow both our species to survive this encounter. What will it be? Vexier looked around his bridge at the frightened faces of his crew. He thought of his father, the Emperor, and how disappointed he would be. But mostly, he thought of all the warriors who had died because of his pride. We surrender, Prince Vexier said, and with those words his world changed forever. The Caltherian flagship drifted in space, its engines quiet and weapons powered down. Inside, Prince Vexier and Prince Drazen waited in their command room, surrounded by guards. But these were not Caltherian guards. They were human marines, led by Commander Sam Torres, who stood at attention near the door. "The Admiral is arriving," one of the marines announced. Admiral Richard Cole entered the room, accompanied by Captain Jake Morrison and 2 other officers. The Admiral studied the 2 princes carefully. They looked defeated, their proud postures gone, replaced by uncertainty and fear. "I am Admiral Cole," he said. "We have met before, but not in person. These are Captain Morrison from the scout ship Wanderer, Commander Lisa Park from the Pathfinder, and Lieutenant Kyle Hayes from the Horizon, the 3 people you tried to kill." Vexier looked at the 3 scout captains and felt shame. They appeared so ordinary, so unremarkable. Jake Morrison was of average height, with tired eyes and graying hair. Lisa Park was a small woman with a gentle face. Kyle Hayes was young, perhaps only 30 years old. These were the people who had destroyed 40 of his ships? How? Vexir asked quietly. How did you defeat my fleet with such small vessels? Jake Morrison stepped forward. Because we trained for it, Prince Vexir. Every human who goes into space receives combat training. We learn to fight with limited resources, to use speed and intelligence instead of raw power. We learned these lessons the hard way, through centuries of war on our own planet. But you said you are scientists, Drazen interjected. You said you are explorers. We are, Lisa Park replied. I have 3 degrees in astrophysics. Jake is a xenobiologist. Kyle studied planetary geology. But we are also prepared to defend ourselves. Human history taught us that peace requires strength. Admiral Cole gestured for everyone to sit at the large table in the center of the room. The Marines remained at the door, watchful but not threatening. Let me tell you about humanity, princes. Perhaps then you will understand what happened here. The Admiral activated a display showing a blue and green planet. This is Earth, our home world. For thousands of years, humans fought each other. We had wars that killed millions. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came very close to extinction several times. Images appeared on the display showing ancient battles, then modern wars with terrible weapons. The princes watched in silence. We finally achieved peace about 300 years ago, Admiral Cole continued. But we never forgot the lessons we learned. We knew that when we went to the stars, we might find hostile species, so we prepared. Every human ship, even scout vessels, has defensive capabilities. Every crew member trains for combat. We hoped we would never need these skills, but we were not foolish enough to go into the unknown unprepared. You built an entire civilization around the expectation of war, Drazen said slowly. Your whole society is militarized. No, Jake Morrison corrected. Our society is based on science, art, philosophy, and peace. But we maintain a strong military because we understand that peace cannot be taken for granted. It must be protected. Admiral Cole changed the display to show star charts. Humanity controls approximately 500 star systems. We have a population of 30 billion people spread across dozens of worlds. Our military consists of 2 billion active personnel and 8 billion reserves. We have 2,000 warships of various classes, not counting scouts and support vessels. The numbers made Vexir feel sick. The Caltherian Empire had 40 million warriors and 3,000 ships. They thought themselves powerful, but these humans were on a completely different scale. Why are you telling us this? Vexir asked. To make us feel helpless? No, Admiral Cole replied firmly. I am telling you this so you understand the situation clearly. Your empire is not small or weak, but you are not prepared to fight humanity? No one is. We have been preparing for war for 3 centuries while hoping for peace. That combination makes us very dangerous. So what happens now? Drazen asked. Do you destroy our empire? Conquer our worlds? Admiral Cole shook his head. We do not want conquest. We want peace. But you attacked our people without provocation. You killed 3 of Captain Morrison's crew members. You destroyed 2 shuttles. That cannot go unanswered. The Admiral stood and walked to the window, looking out at the wreckage of Caltherian ships floating in space. Here is what will happen. You will return to your home world with your remaining ships. You will tell your emperor what happened here. You will explain that humanity wishes for peace, but will respond to aggression with overwhelming force. My father will not accept this, Vexir said bitterly. He will see it as weakness. He will want revenge. Then you must make him understand reality. Admiral Cole turned back to face them. Because if your empire attacks us again, we will not stop with 1 fleet. We will bring everything we have, and we will not leave until your empire surrenders completely. I do not want that. I do not want to conquer your people or destroy your civilization, but I will protect humanity. Is that clear?" Both princes nodded slowly. The message was clear enough. "There is something else," Jake Morrison said. He placed a data device on the table. "Your ship was boarded during the battle. My security team downloaded files from your computer system. We have been reading them." Vexier's eyes widened. "You stole our data?" "Yes," Jake confirmed without apology. "We needed to understand who you are and what we are dealing with. The files show that your empire has conquered 47 different species over the past 3,000 years. Some surrendered without a fight. Others resisted and were destroyed. Is this accurate?" Drazen answered. "Yes. That is our history. We believed it was our right to rule over weaker species." "Believed?" Lisa Park asked. "Past tense? I am beginning to question many things I once believed," Drazen admitted. "Meeting you has shown me that strength is not just about having the biggest ships or the most warriors. You defeated us with superior technology, better training, and smarter tactics. Perhaps the species we conquered could have taught us valuable things if we had tried to learn from them instead of dominating them." Vexier looked at his brother with surprise. Drazen had always been the cautious one, the one who thought too much. But now Vexier was beginning to see wisdom in his brother's words. Admiral Cole seemed pleased by Drazen's response. "That is a good start, Prince. Understanding that you were wrong is the first step toward making things right." "But my father will never admit we were wrong," Vexier said. "He is the Emperor. His pride is absolute." "Then you must be smarter than your father," Admiral Cole said bluntly. "You must find a way to make him see reason, because the alternative is the destruction of everything you know." At that moment, alarms began ringing throughout the flagship. Commander Torres spoke into his communication device, then turned to Admiral Cole. "Sir, we have a situation. A large Caltharian fleet just arrived. They are broadcasting on all channels, demanding the release of the princes." Admiral Cole's expression remained calm. "How many ships?" 300, sir. They appear to be a rescue force." Vexier stood up quickly. "That will be General Korthax. My father must have sent him when we stopped reporting. He is our finest military commander." "Will he attack?" Admiral Cole asked. "Yes," Drazen said with certainty. "Korthax is aggressive and loyal to the Emperor. He will not negotiate. He will see this as an insult to the Empire that must be answered with force." Admiral Cole considered this for a moment, then made a decision. "Commander Torres, take the princes to the observation deck. I want them to watch what happens next. I want them to see, so they can report accurately to their Emperor." The Marines escorted Vexier and Drazen through the corridors of the human flagship. They passed crew members working calmly at their stations, showing no sign of panic despite the arrival of a superior enemy force. The princes found this strange. How could they be so calm when facing 300 ships? The observation deck had large windows showing the space outside. The human fleet of 30 ships hung in formation, small and outnumbered. In the distance, 300 Caltharian vessels approached in battle array. "Open a channel to the Caltharian commander," Admiral Cole ordered from the bridge, his voice transmitted to the observation deck. "Let's try diplomacy first." A Caltharian general appeared on the communication screen. He was old and scarred, with eyes that burned with fury. "I am General Korthax of the Caltharian Empire. You are holding our princes prisoner. Release them immediately or face the consequences." "General Korthax, I am Admiral Cole. The princes are not prisoners. They are my guests, unharmed and being treated with respect. They surrendered after attacking our scout ships. We are in negotiations to prevent further conflict." "Negotiations?" Korthax laughed harshly. You attack Imperial ships, you damage our fleet, and you think you can negotiate? No. You will release the princes and surrender your fleet within 1 hour, or we will destroy you all. General, please listen carefully. Admiral Cole's voice remained patient. The princes attacked our exploration vessels. We defended ourselves. We have no desire to fight your empire. But if you force this confrontation, you will lose just as they did. You have 30 ships against my 300, Korthax sneered. You cannot win. This is your last chance. Surrender now. Admiral Cole sighed. Very well. You have made your choice. May your gods forgive me for what happens next. The general closed the channel. In the observation deck, Vexier turned to Commander Torres. You should run. You cannot defeat 300 ships with only 30. Torres smiled slightly. Keep watching, Prince. You are about to learn something important about humanity. The Caltherian fleet began its attack, 300 ships advancing in perfect formation. They opened fire simultaneously, filling space with energy beams and missiles. The barrage was enormous, enough to destroy a small moon. The human shields absorbed the impacts without difficulty. Then the human fleet returned fire. But this time something different happened. Each human ship did not fire 30 weapons. They fired hundreds. What? Drazen pressed his face to the window. How are they doing that? Point defense systems, missile launchers, railguns, and plasma cannons, Torres explained calmly. Our warships are designed to fight against superior numbers. Every available surface can deploy weapons. We call it saturation fire. The space between the two fleets became a wall of death. Thousands of projectiles and energy beams crossed the distance in seconds. The Caltherian ships tried to dodge, but there were too many incoming attacks. 50 ships exploded in the first volley, then 70 more. The alien formation broke apart as panic spread. Impossible, Vexier whispered. How can any species build such weapons? 300 years of preparation, Torres replied. 300 years of knowing that one day we might meet someone like you. Someone aggressive. Someone who shoots first and asks questions later. We built our military to ensure that when that day came, humanity would survive. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it ended, 200 Caltherian ships were destroyed or crippled. The remaining 100 fled at maximum speed, abandoning their general and their mission. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. In the observation deck, both princes stood in shocked silence. They had just watched 300 ships, commanded by their empire's finest general, be utterly defeated by a force 1/10 their size. Admiral Cole's voice came through the speakers. Princes, I hope you were paying attention. Now do you understand? Now do you see why you must convince your emperor to choose peace? Vexier turned to his brother. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. What have we done, Drazen? What have we brought upon our people? Drazen had no answer. He could only stare at the wreckage floating in space and think about what would happen when they returned home. The journey back to the Caltherian homeworld took 3 days. Prince Vexier and Prince Drazen traveled in their damaged flagship, escorted by the 35 ships that remained from their original fleet of 200. Behind them, at a respectful distance, followed one human vessel. It was small and sleek, designed for diplomacy rather than war. Ambassador Claire Bennett stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the Caltherian fleet limp home. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a patient manner, but she had seen enough war in her youth to understand the importance of her mission. General Marcus Webb, are the escort ships in position? She asked her military advisor. General Webb checked his displays. Yes, ma'am. 2 destroyers are stationed 1 light year behind us, hidden but ready. If the Caltherians try anything, they can be here in 30 seconds. They will not try anything, Claire said confidently. Those princes have learned their lesson. Now we must hope their emperor is wiser than his sons. On the Caltherian flagship, Vexier sat alone in his chambers. He had not slept in 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw human ships destroying his fleet. He saw warriors dying because of his arrogance. He had left home as a proud prince, eager for glory. He was returning as a failure who had led thousands to their deaths. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called. Prince Drazen stepped inside. He looked as tired as Vexier felt. "Brother, we need to talk about what we will tell father." "The truth," Vexier said bitterly. "What else can we say? We attacked the humans. We lost. We were defeated by a species we knew nothing about." "Father will be furious," Drazen said. "He may even execute us for our failure." "Perhaps we deserve it," Vexier replied. "I led our warriors to their deaths for no reason except my own pride. I wanted glory and conquest. Instead, I brought shame upon our family and our empire." Drazen sat down across from his brother. "I have been thinking about what the humans said, about how they prepare for peace, but maintain strength, about how they value knowledge and cooperation. Maybe our empire has been wrong all these years. Maybe conquest and domination are not the only way." Vexier looked at his brother with surprise. "You sound like you admire them." "I respect them," Drazen corrected. "They could have destroyed us completely. They could have followed our fleet home and attacked our world. But instead, they are sending an ambassador to talk. They are giving us a chance for peace. That shows strength of a different kind." Before Vexier could respond, the communication officer's voice came through the speaker. "My princes, we are approaching the home world. The Emperor has commanded you to report to the throne room immediately upon arrival." Both brothers stood. The moment they had been dreading had arrived. They would face their father and admit their failure. The Caltherian homeworld was beautiful from space, with blue oceans and green continents surrounded by 3 moons. The capital city sprawled across an entire continent, with buildings that reached into the clouds. At the center of the city stood the Imperial Palace, ancient and magnificent. Emperor Zathros Kalthor waited in his throne room, surrounded by his advisors and generals. He was old but still powerful, with scales that had turned gray with age and eyes that missed nothing. When his sons entered and knelt before him, he studied them in silence for a long moment. "Rise," the Emperor commanded. His voice was deep and cold. "Explain to me why you return with only 35 ships when I sent you with 200. Explain why General Korthax's rescue fleet of 300 ships returned with only 100. Explain why there is a human ship orbiting my world uninvited." Vexier spoke first, his voice steady despite his fear. "Father, we encountered a human scout ship in unexplored space. I ordered an attack, believing them to be weak. I was wrong. The humans defended themselves with skill and technology beyond our understanding. We lost many ships to just 3 small vessels. 3 ships destroyed 165 of our cruisers." The Emperor's voice rose in anger. "Do you take me for a fool?" "No, father," Drazen interjected. "Brother speaks the truth. The 3 ships were scouts, not military vessels. When we continued to attack, the humans sent 30 warships. They destroyed 80 of our ships in less than an hour. When General Korthax attacked with 300 ships, the humans destroyed or disabled 200 of them in 20 minutes. We are not fighting a weak species, father. We are facing something far beyond us." The throne room erupted in shocked conversation. The Emperor's advisors spoke in loud voices, some claiming the princes were lying, others demanding proof. "Silence!" Emperor Zathros stood from his throne, his presence commanding absolute obedience. "You claim these humans are so powerful? Then why are you alive? Why did they not destroy your fleet completely and follow you home to conquer us?" "Because they do not want conquest," Vexier said. "They want peace. They sent an ambassador to negotiate with you. She is waiting outside the palace right now." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. An ambassador? They attack my fleets, kill my warriors, and then send an ambassador? This is an insult. Father, please, Drazen pleaded. Meet with the ambassador. Listen to what she has to say. If you reject peace and choose war, the Caltherian Empire will be destroyed. I have seen their power. I have watched them fight. We cannot defeat them. Cannot? The Emperor's voice was dangerous now. The Caltherian Empire has never lost a war. We have conquered 47 species. We rule over 300 star systems. And you tell me we cannot defeat one species? Yes, Father, Vexir said quietly. That is exactly what I am telling you. If we fight the humans, we will lose everything. The throne room fell silent. Never before had anyone spoken such words to the Emperor. To suggest that the mighty Caltherian Empire could be defeated was unthinkable. Emperor Zathros stared at his sons, searching their faces for signs of cowardice or deception. Instead, he saw only certainty and fear. His sons believed what they were saying. They truly thought the Empire was in danger. Very well, the Emperor said finally. I will meet this ambassador, but I promise nothing. If I believe she is wasting my time, or if her terms are insulting, I will have her executed and prepare for war. Is that understood? Yes, Father, both princes said together. Ambassador Claire Bennett entered the throne room with General Webb at her side. She wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. She walked calmly past the armed guards and stopped at a respectful distance from the throne. Then she bowed slightly, a gesture of respect between equals. Emperor Zathros, she said in perfect Caltherian, having learned the language during the journey. I am Ambassador Claire Bennett of humanity. I thank you for agreeing to meet with me. The Emperor studied her carefully. She was small and appeared old, certainly not a warrior. But there was something in her eyes that commanded respect. You speak our language well, Ambassador. Did my sons teach you? No, Your Majesty, Claire replied. We have been studying the data files taken from your ships. Your language is complex and beautiful. I only wish we could have met under better circumstances. Better circumstances? The Emperor's voice held anger. You attacked my fleets. You killed thousands of my warriors. You call this diplomacy? With respect, Your Majesty, your sons attacked our scout ships first, Claire said firmly but politely. Captain Jake Morrison attempted to communicate peacefully. Prince Vexir ordered an attack without provocation. Everything that followed was self-defense. Lies! One of the Emperor's advisors shouted. The princes would never attack without reason. Claire turned to face the advisor calmly. I have video recordings of the entire encounter. Would you like to see them? The Emperor raised his hand for silence. Yes. Show me these recordings. General Webb activated a holographic projector. Images appeared in the air above them, showing the first meeting between the Wanderer and the Caltherian fleet. The recording showed Captain Morrison's attempts at peaceful communication. It showed Prince Vexir's arrogant dismissal and his order to attack. It showed the entire battle that followed. The throne room watched in silence as the recordings played. They saw 3 small human ships fight against hundreds of Caltherian vessels. They saw the arrival of Admiral Cole's fleet. They saw the devastating defeat of General Korthax's rescue force. When the recordings ended, no one spoke. Emperor Zathros sat back on his throne heavily. He had seen the evidence with his own eyes. His son had attacked first. The humans had only defended themselves, and the power they demonstrated was terrifying. How many ships does humanity have? The Emperor asked quietly. 2,000 warships of various classes, Claire answered honestly. Plus thousands of support vessels, transports, and scouts. Our population is 30 billion across 500 star systems. We have been exploring space for 200 years and preparing for the possibility of hostile contact. And if I refuse to make peace? The Emperor asked. If I choose to fight? Claire's expression became sad. Then we will defend ourselves, Your Majesty. Admiral Cole's fleet is one of 12 border patrol fleets. Each has 200 ships, not 30. Behind them are our main battle fleets with carriers and dreadnoughts. If you choose war, we will bring everything we have. Your empire will fall. Millions will die. Your civilization will be destroyed. I do not want that. I do not want to see another species wiped out because of pride. Another species? Drazen asked. You have fought wars before? Yes, General Webb spoke for the first time. Humanity nearly destroyed itself in world wars centuries ago. We learned the true cost of pride and aggression. We built a peaceful civilization from the ashes of war. We do not want to repeat those mistakes with other species, but we will not allow ourselves to be conquered or destroyed. Emperor Zathros stood and walked down from his throne. He approached Ambassador Bennett and studied her closely. What do you want from us? Peace, Claire said simply. We want a treaty. No more attacks on human ships or territory. Open communication channels. Trade agreements if you wish. Cooperation in space exploration. And we want reparations for the damage done to our scout ships and compensation for the families of the 3 crew members who died. And if we agree to these terms, then humanity will share our technology with you, Claire said. Not our weapons, not yet, but medical advances, agricultural improvements, clean energy systems. We will teach you what we have learned. We will help your empire grow strong through knowledge instead of conquest. The Emperor was silent for a long time, thinking. His advisors watched him nervously. The princes waited with held breath. Finally, the Emperor spoke. I am old, he said quietly. I have ruled for 60 years. I have seen our empire expand and prosper through strength and conquest. But perhaps the universe has changed. Perhaps there are species out there that cannot be conquered. Species that must be respected instead. He turned to face his court. I accept the human terms. We will make peace. We will pay the reparations. And we will learn from them. The throne room erupted in shocked conversation, but the Emperor raised his hand for silence. This is my command. Any who disagree may challenge me for the throne. No? Then it is decided. He turned back to Claire. Ambassador Bennett, I accept your offer of peace. But I want one thing in addition to your terms. What is that, Your Majesty? I want my sons to spend 1 year living among humans, the Emperor said, looking at Vexir and Drazen. I want them to learn your ways, your culture, your philosophy. When they return, they will help guide the Empire into this new age. They started this conflict through ignorance. They will end it through understanding. Claire smiled. That can be arranged, Your Majesty. We would be honored to host the princes. Vexir and Drazen looked at each other in surprise. A year among the humans? Learning from the species they had tried to destroy? It seemed fitting somehow, a punishment and an opportunity at the same time. There is one more thing, Emperor Zathros said. He gestured to Captain Morrison, who had entered the throne room quietly. Captain Morrison, please approach. Jake walked forward and stood before the Emperor. He showed no fear, only calm respect. You are the one my son attacked first, the Emperor said. You are the scout who defended yourself and your crew. You could have destroyed my son's entire fleet, but you chose to retreat instead. You saved many lives that day, including the lives of my sons. For this, I thank you. Jake nodded. I did what I thought was right, Your Majesty. I did not want war. I still do not want war. Neither do I, the Emperor admitted. Not anymore. Not after seeing what war with your people would cost. He gestured to his attendants. Bring the treaty documents. Let us make this peace official before pride causes any more suffering. The treaty was signed that day in the Imperial throne room. Humanity and the Caltherian Empire became allies instead of enemies. Trade routes were established, cultural exchanges began, and slowly, carefully, two very different civilizations began to learn from each other. Prince Vexir and Prince Drazen spent their year on Earth, living in cities, studying at universities, meeting ordinary humans. They learned that humanity was not just a military power. They saw the art, the music, the literature, the science. They met families, children, teachers, farmers. They discovered that humans valued life and peace, even though they were prepared for war. When the princes returned home after their year, they were changed. Vexir, once arrogant and proud, had become thoughtful and humble. Drazen, always cautious, had become confident in his belief that cooperation was stronger than conquest. Together, they began to reform the Caltherian Empire. They reached out to the 47 species their ancestors had conquered and offered them freedom and partnership instead of domination. Some refused, too bitter from years of oppression, but others accepted, and slowly, the empire transformed from a conquering force into a confederation of allied worlds. Years later, Captain Jake Morrison visited the Caltherian homeworld as an honored guest. Prince Vexir, now older and wiser, met him at the palace. "Captain Morrison," Vexir said, grasping Jake's hand in the human manner of greeting he had learned. "Thank you for coming." "It is good to see you again, Prince," Jake replied. "I hear the Empire is doing well." "We are learning," Vexir said with a smile. "Learning that there is more than one way to be strong, learning that wisdom is greater than weapons. You and your people taught us that." "We all learned something," Jake said. "You taught us that first contact can be dangerous and complicated. You taught us that even enemies can become friends if they are willing to try." They walked together through the palace gardens, two beings from different worlds, talking about the future. Above them, human and Caltherian ships patrolled space together, protecting both civilizations from external threats. Scout ships from both species explored the universe side by side, ready to meet whatever they found with knowledge and understanding. And in the throne room, Emperor Zathros looked at the star charts and smiled. His empire had not conquered the humans. Instead, something better had happened. They had learned to respect each other. They had learned to cooperate. They had learned that the universe was big enough for both their species to thrive. "Perhaps," the Emperor said to himself, "defeat is sometimes the greatest victory of all." In space, the Wanderer continued its mission of exploration, its crew ready for whatever wonders or dangers the universe held. And behind it, protected by the alliance of two great civilizations, millions of beings lived in peace, grateful that wise leaders had chosen understanding over pride and life over death. The story of the Caltherian Empire and humanity became a legend told across 100 worlds. It was a reminder that strength comes in many forms, and that the willingness to admit mistakes and learn from them is the greatest strength of all.